The SpaceX CEO tried to get the spacecraft off the ground but ran into some friction. The idea of a three-letter government agency that stops Elon Musk from doing whatever he wants may seem like a bureaucratic fantasy. This guy got permission to send a Tesla into space, renamed the street Rocket Road, and even changed the business space forever. But what happened with Starship Orbital launch license and why FAA delayed Starship Orbital launch? In this video we're going to look at how FAA strange rules delayed Starship Orbital launch. In recent years, Musk and SpaceX have built space cities around the Gulf of Mexico, bought land, built new facilities, and even posted job ads for spaceport mixologists. They even imagine that Boca Chica Beach will be the gateway to Mars. Since its inception in 2014, Musk has positioned the space station as one of the best places to make history. The FAA license only covers 10 Starship launches a year, and is limited to 5 sub-orbits and 5 orbits easily accessible to the company. Once Starship is flying, which will delay environmental group lawsuits, litigation and at least one other threat in Texas. Starship launches are weeks, or even more than a month. What is the solution for all this? Musk is known as a trailblazer and has few backup options. SpaceX has expanded its Texas facility, but the company has stepped up its footprint off the coast of Florida. If SpaceX leases the launch pad and the FAA decides that SpaceX's plans in South Texas need more attention. SpaceX is currently NASA's only option to get astronauts from the United States to the International Space Station, Musk said, moving the Starship program to Florida. The company has already almost completed a new launch pad and manufacturing facility in the second quarter of this year, and will initially ship vehicles from the port of Brownsville to the Cape, he said in response to a question on Twitter, specifically when and where. Kennedy Space Center and the only launch site for the Crew Dragon capsule. The only spacecraft of its type is currently the only spacecraft capable of sending astronauts to the ISS, and the launch pad is government property, not a test flight. The idea to test a giant booster on the same launch pad put NASA and the Florida Space Force on hold, in light of the explosive results from other early SpaceX tests that could crash Starbase's launch system and more. It is solidly engineered for safer missions, and luckily Musk is a worst-case scenario, as after NASA raised concerns about the threat as the only current site. SpaceX proposed modifying a second Florida launch pad to support the Dragon manned mission. Space Force Station Canaveral LC-40 supports Dragon launch. Nothing is known about the type of modification required for the LC-40, but it is likely required by NASA. SpaceX will develop something similar to the Path 39A facility, which will include building a new crew access tower, crew rescue system, and astronaut bunker on site, despite LC-40 being the launch pad for the second Dragon. SpaceX fought long and hard to receive approval for up to 5 orbital Starship launches per year out of Boca Chica, Texas. SpaceX has also received approval for up to 24 Starship launches per year out of a NASA Kennedy Space Center pad in Cape Canaveral, Florida. And SpaceX is permitted to launch up to 70, much smaller Falcon rockets per year from its 2 existing Cape Canaveral pads. Dozens, to hundreds, of Starship launches per day would be 2 or 3 orders of magnitude beyond the highest cadences the FAA has ever permitted. Shotwell's continued interest in floating platforms is thus unsurprising, as they may be the only way SpaceX can realistically achieve airline-like Starship operations, while still coexisting with U.S. regulators. President and COO Gwynne Shotwell says that SpaceX has temporarily abandoned plans for floating Starship launch platforms to ensure it's fully focused on gaining flight experience with the next-generation rocket. On February 13, a NasaSpaceFlight.com forum member reported that a pair of oil rigs were scheduled to leave a Mississippi port for an unknown destination. At one point, those oil rigs, christened Deimos and Phobos after Mars moons, were owned by SpaceX. In mid-2020, SpaceX bought the former $500 million oil rigs for just $7 million. Around the same time, CEO Elon Musk tweeted that SpaceX was building floating, super heavy-class spaceports for Mars, Moon and hypersonic travel around Earth. SpaceX's oil rig purchase was publicly uncovered in January 2021. Since then, however, the company has done very little to Phobos or Deimos. Phobos' deck was half cleared in fitful bursts of work, but Deimos was left almost untouched. Now, according to Spacey News, SpaceX's second-in-command says, the company sold Phobos and Deimos and has paused work on offshore Starship launch platforms. In August 2021, Musk added some additional insight, revealing that the platforms were not a priority, and that the only visible work done was the result of SpaceX hiring third parties to clear Phobos' deck. Ultimately, the project may have been a false start. Speaking in February 2023, Shotwell told reporters that while SpaceX had sold the rigs, she was still confident that sea-based launch platforms would become a crucial asset in the future. Perhaps even exceeding CEO Elon Musk's infamously lofty ambitions, Shotwell said that SpaceX has designed Starship to be as much like aircraft operations as we possibly can get, in the hopes of enabling dozens of launches a day, if not hundreds of launches a day. No rocket family in history has launched more than 61 times in one calendar year, making Shotwell's Starship cadence target hundreds or even thousands of times more ambitious. It's unclear if the FAA's stringent environmental reviews would ever allow SpaceX to get close to that kind of launch cadence using pads built on U.S. soil. According to Spacey News, Shotwell said that SpaceX really need to flight Starship to understand it, to get to know this machine, and then we'll figure out how we're going to launch it. That disciplined focus could be just the thing the Starship program needs. More than 18 months after SpaceX first fully stacked a two-stage Starship, the rocket still hasn't attempted an orbital launch. SpaceX has, nonetheless, put a vast amount of money and effort into building, expanding, and optimizing factories and launch facilities for Starship, an orbital rocket that has yet to even partially demonstrate itself. In essence, SpaceX has made huge gambles on the assumption that a version of Starship mostly resembling what the company is building today will be highly successful, reusable, and reliable. SpaceX's success with Falcon 9, Falcon Heavy, Dragon, and suborbital Starship testing suggests that it will ultimately be successful in time. Nonetheless, Shotwell's apparent desire to conduct orbital Starship launches and gather data before making major investments in new infrastructure and, hopefully, big design changes and optimizations is a welcome change of pace. Shotwell reportedly assumed oversight of Starbase and Starship in late 2022. Thanks for watching this video, and it's a super interesting topic. If you like this, to make sure you can subscribe. If you have any crazy idea what we should cover in next video, please comment it below, and we will see if we can get the. And thanks again for watching, and goodbye.